Hello Mr. Randy Duck and welcome back for another video, and today I've got a tank review of the brand new Tier 8 American Premium Heavy Tank, the M4Y, which of course is the premium tank of the new American tank line which was released yesterday. So what I'm going to do, as it's a brand new vehicle, I'll just quickly go over some of the key points of the tank and statistics, and then we get into the free replays I've got to show you and we explain more as the video progresses. So what is the tank? As I say, it's the first premium tank of the new American line, and it has a unique mechanic. Unfortunately, it's not the same mechanic of which the which the PC have with the track mechanic. Instead of having that, you've essentially got as standard your tracks repair 30% quicker, and also have an increased hit point pool to the tracks, so it takes more shots for your tracks actually to be destroyed. Which does mean you can, if you're running track mechanic as a perk crew, you no longer need to run that because you've effectively got a better version of that built into the tank. So it's unnecessary to take it. It means you can take another perk on your crew. So that's a nice feature about the tank. But unfortunately, I think the tank is kind of more of an average tank to a lower end, which we will get to. But you basically got a DPM on the tank of 2,621 in the build I am running, with a 360 alpha gun. So the DPM is fairly average, to be honest, to some of the other tier 8 heavy tanks you can get. You've got 220 penetration on your standard AP rounds with 1,000 shell velocity, 250 penetration on your premium APCR rounds with a shell velocity of 1,200, then 53 penetration on your HE with 440 alpha, and then you've got a slower shell velocity because it's HE of 800, what you would expect. I think I've got the reload down to about 8.24 with this build, which you will see. And then it's got pretty decent top speed, 45 kilometers an hour, which is nice, feels quite mobile, but it does have quite poor ground resistance. So you kind of want to use perks like off-road driving to try and counteract that. But like I say, that ground resistance does set it back somewhat. Now, this is where you get to what you would say is the strength of the tank. You've got 10 degrees of under pressure, which is fantastic, and then you combined it with a very good turret face on the terms of the armor. You can bounce a lot of shells. Most tanks in the game you can bounce off of your turret face, which you would think is great, right? Good turret face, 10 degrees of gun depression. You can play those ridge lines really effectively. Unfortunately, it has a very large cupola with only 120 mil of armor, which means it's easy to hit, and effectively you can be hold down thinking, great, I've got this fantastic turret, but they can quite easily just hit that cupola, and that really kind of sets this tank back to a more of an average, heavy American heavy premium compared to some of the other on the market which is available to you. In terms of the whole armor is also very poor. Although you've got some weird ricocheted angles, ultimately most tanks are going to be able to pen you in the hole quite reliably, so you're not going to be able to bounce much off your hole at all. But what I'm going to do now, I've been rambling on for quite some time. Let's get into the gameplays. We'll talk a bit more about the tank, and the replays, we can show it off as the video progresses. So let's move on to the first replay. Okay, so on to the first replay we have for you today on Ruinberg, and if you want to see the crew and equipment setup I am running in the tank, you can see that at the bottom of the screen as I speak. So the first replay we have for you today, we are top tier. There's 3 enemy light tanks and 2 enemy fun police to contend with, which is not as much of a problem when you're in a city map, so we can go into the town and try and avoid getting shot by the fun police the best we can. So initially we're going to go to a fairly standard position at the start, just see if anything makes a mistake and crosses, and see if we can get any early damage. Work out where the tanks are playing and then go from there once we've got a little bit of information. Like I say, we are top tier in this particular game, and straight away at the start I have no idea what's happening. This T-32 is made a big error and it's allowed us to pretty much pick up a kill and 2 penetrations off the start of that game, which is fantastic, so I can only appreciate that. We're going to try and side scrape off of this rock to see if we can get any shots. Like I say, you can side scrape in the tank, You know, you don't have to worry about your tracks getting blown off because you have that increased hit points to your track, and you know, the repair 30% quicker, which is good. And we're in a good situation where we've got an AT-15 in front of us, and we're just poking out once we've got our reload out and slapping him. And like I said, when you're in a tier 8 game, the 360 alpha, it does feel quite nice. And like, you know, I kind of went in on a tank saying it is, you know, and sort of an average to a lower end tank, which I think is true, but I still enjoy it. You know, I still enjoy playing it. You know, if you can hide your cupola where you can, it's great, but obviously my whole armour isn't brilliant, so when I'm, you know, reversing up here, I am exposing my whole armour. We get a nice shot there into the IS and picking up our second kill of the game, and we kind of won that area quite quickly, and because we actually have support from our friendly team, we're able to just sort of continue this train and push forward. Now, thankfully, I've got this wreck to hide behind to make it, you know, harder for the King Tiger to get shots into me, and then I'm able to put a nice shot into that enemy heavy tank who, you know, overpeaks there, and we put one in for the track roll and he gets shut down. And you can kind of see early doors on this game that it's going to be one of them waffle stomps, you know, and I've got to try and just make my shots count. If I want to try and maximise the damage I'm going to get out of this game, because there's only 5 tanks remaining, and I've kind of just steamrolled through the enemy team. And so far, I think I've penned all my shots, so I'm probably getting the, you know, the most I'm going to get out of this game. We get a nice shot into the Tiger 2. We pick up our 4th kill of the game. And now we have this enemy heavy tank in front of us, but we've also got that enemy TD to our left, so we're going to have to pull back slightly so you can't just farm us when we're trying to kill the enemy heavy. You know, I don't really care if I get penned at this point. You know, this game's won, it really makes no difference. We get another shot into that enemy heavy tank there, putting us under 4,300 damage. Should be able to get the kill, but unfortunately he gets shut down before I can. So I'm just trying to get one more pen, and unfortunately I got frustrated at that shot just derped. The accuracy in my build, I've got it down to 0.32. So it is a little bit derpy at times, this gun. So there you go, very quick first replay. 4 kills, 4,200 odd damage. Get the high caliber as well. But let's move on to replay number 2. Okay, so for the second replay, we are on Power Pass, which I've just completely messed up. And we are in tier 10 matchmaking. So we are bottom tier in this replay. There is no fun place to contend with though, which is nice. And there's one enemy light tank. So what I kind of like to do on this map from this spawn, I think this is my preferred spawn on this map. I'm going to try and play the centre, like the F sort of 4 or 5 area. I'm at risk at my, you know, trying to get to position at the start of the game. So once I got there, you know, I quite like that position because you've got shots at multiple sides, and without having to worry about the artillery, it can be quite a nice position to play. So like I say, at the start, this is when you're at most risk trying to get to that position. But I'm going to try and go the safest way as I can. You know, the mobility for a heavy tank on this tank does feel quite nice. It's just that train resistance does set it back a little bit. That, you know, getting into that top speed. This is why I like to run off-road driving on, you know, with this tank. And as we make the cross, this is where you're most likely to take damage trying to get to this position as you make that advance. But I actually managed to snap a shot in and not take any damage, which was great. And I've kind of spotted this enemy IS-3 who's, yeah, really made a mistake there, and I'm going to try and get some damage in. Unfortunately, my shot doesn't go true, and we're not able to get one in, and he's now got a hold down to us, meaning it's awkward for us to get a shot in. So I'm going to back up because I've noticed that this Arnie, I'm not sure what this giant is actually doing here. This enemy tier 10 heavy tank, it looks like he is going to make a complete mistake and allow us to farm from this position, which I'm not complaining about. Unfortunately, you know, for him, he's not going to make it out of this position. So we get a second shot in. We're hoping to squeeze in a third before he gets into cover to us, but it's not going to be the case. But he's not really safe there. You know, you can see those TD and medium tank at the back. They should be able to finish him off there. I'm surprised he's still alive, but he does eventually get shut down by our friendly Jag Tiger. So far in the game, despite having that, you know, good start, it's still even at the moment. We squeeze a shot into the enemy tanks. This is, like I say, this is why I quite like this location. It's just because you can get shots at multiple sides. We're looking to squeeze one into that enemy turtle, enemy tank if we can, but he's playing safe, and it's not going to be possible for us. But this enemy Foch does actually cross, and we're able to squeeze in a shot. We may be able to get another shot into him if we can, but like I say, we've got to be careful because he's got a nasty gun and it's tier 10 matchmaking. And I've got this Tassos looking to try and dirt me, but if he pokes, I should be able to get a shot into him. I go through the cupola of the Foch, and unfortunately it does not connect. And we are, we're sort of losing this game, but it's not, it's a long way from lost at the moment. The biggest concern I've got is that cap circle. Now, the problem I have is I can't really get back to the cap circle at this point because I've got those 3 TDs in front of me. I don't want to eat a big shot of them, and then I've also got those tanks behind us. So I've kind of just decided that I'm going to stay and try and fight this one out and hope that the enemy team are not just going to cap us, and maybe they'll try and play for the damage. We get a shot into that enemy waffle, putting us onto 2,500 damage. I poke to get the kill. I do get the kill. Unfortunately, I eat a shot off of him in return. I probably could have waited, until my reload was ready, and then maybe I could have squeezed a shot in before he hits us. But either way, I've got rid of a tier 9 tank and put us under just shy of 3,000 damage and 1 kill. So we are having a decent game for a tier 10 matchmaking. But as I say, I'm concerned that we're going to get capped out here. I poke round to try and see if I can help that heavy tank, but there's a medium tank and a tank destroyer which I hold down on that ridge, and it's going to be kind of awkward. I was hoping he was going to overextend then and I could finish him off. It's not going to be the case, and I'm kind of wasting time, and I'm starting to look at that cap circle thinking at this point it's not looking great for our team. So I need to try and see what we can do. I was looking, can I get back to defend that base? But we're a long way away, and this enemy medium tank crosses, so we put a shot into that medium tank, and we might be able to squeeze the second one in before he just gets into that dip there. Unfortunately, it was like a half a second off of connecting that shell. And I'm going to see if we can shoot this Death Star in the middle, but it's a Death Star, and he is staring at us. We are a one-shot to that Death Star, and we don't want him to take us out. So I need to wait until he fires before I can really do anything here, to be honest with you. It's kind of not ideal because we've got a Foch up the top and then we've got the Death Star there. We do have a friendly tank coming with us, and yeah, I'm not sure if that Jag Tiger actually realises that the Death Star's there. Thankfully though, the enemy team have got off the cap circle and it doesn't look like they're going to cap. Now, unfortunately for our poor Jag Tiger, he has met the wrath of that Death Star and taken him out. But I do at least know that Death Star is on reload now. He is behind some destructible cover. I'm just going to shoot those covers so he's got nowhere to hide, but I don't need to because he gets finished off by our friendly Gorilla 15. And this game is still not won, but it's a 6 versus 6, and thankfully the enemy team haven't capped out. We've done a job of coming back to defend that, and that means I've got an opportunity to try and get some more damage out of this game. But it's starting to, the enemy team's starting to crumble here, and it's gone to a 6 versus 3, and we've only got 7% hit points remaining. So I'm just going to try and get some damage. We spot that enemy Foch from earlier. We put a big shot in. He gets set on fire, and thankfully that E100 stops me from getting shots by that Foch there, which is good. And I just need to hope now I can just looking for any last shot of damage, to be honest with you. I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to cross over. I'm going to hope the enemy team present shots just like this. We get one shot into that medium. If he keeps on this path, we may actually give us a window of opportunity to finish him off here. And thankfully, our shot goes true. We pick up our second kill of the game, and it's now a 6 versus 1. You can see this last tank is on a one shot, and I've kind of thought, I could make my way over and try and finish him off, but I was thinking that medium tank's coming behind him. To be honest, he's probably going to die before I get there anyway, so I just not going to bother to drive over. I'll just wait. And he does get shut down by a friendly back chat, and that brings us then to replay number 2, leaving us with one final replay. So you can see a decent game for bottom tier matchmaking. 2 kills, 4,000 damage, 700 assistance. And let's move on now to the last and final replay. Okay, so here we are for the final replay then on Live Oaks, and we are top tier again. and there's one enemy artillery and one enemy light tank to contend with. It is team destruction, so we don't have to worry about being capped out. And what I'm going to do is try and go to a position where I can utilise the strength of the vehicle and the fact that it does have 10 degrees of gun compression, does have a good turret face, albeit you've got a big cupola. So I'm going to try and get into a position where I can play hold down. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of my team coming this way, but we are quite heavily top tier. I'm taking the chance to push into the middle, which can be risky at times, because if your team don't come with you, you can be left by yourself. But I just felt like, I'm heavily top tier, so I can afford to take a little bit of risks. We get a nice shot into enemy light tank, and you can see this enemy medium Comet, I believe, is poked up. Now, immediately the enemy fun police is looking to shoot us, predictably, and that is a little bit frustrating, but it's also to be expected. So what can we do about that? We need to see if we can try and deal with this enemy medium, but I suspect he's got cover. I don't think he's going to be alone here. We get a shot into this enemy Thankyou, gets spotted in the distance, picking up our second shot. I'm ignoring that light tank for the moment because I've got this enemy heavy who's come straight over this ridge, but thankfully, unfortunately for my friend, he's focusing our friendly Victoria medium tank, but I'm just going to try and kill him as quickly as I can, focus him out. I pulled back to this side just in case that light tank was going to come in and full send us while we're fighting, but we're able to take him out together, putting us onto about 1,500 damage. Light tank is now coming in. Unfortunately, does finish off our friendly, so I called him a Victoria, a friendly Earth Shaker, and the light tank does die for it, but unfortunately we lost our friend there. And the enemy team are winning in the town area, so I need to try and win this side quicker. But I still have quite a few tanks here, so I don't really know how we're losing everywhere, with the fact there's multiple tanks in front of us. I'm doing my best to kill him as quickly as we can. I haven't really stopped firing, to be honest, so I don't feel I could have done much more. But we're on about sort of 2,600 damage. We should be, we can comfortably get able to kill these tanks, but we have the fun police looking to shoot us as well. But like I say, we're losing the other side, so I just have to accept that he's trying to shoot me at the moment and try and deal with these tanks. We've got a top tier IS coming over the top on us. We do manage to track him in place, which is nice, but you can see we're now in a 6 versus 12. Like, somehow our team has managed to completely just get evaporated on the other side, and we're doing our best to kill these tanks. We've tracked them in place. We should be able to get a shot in, put them onto a 1. Friendly Boar's Egg takes him out. We're having a good game, won about 4,000 damage. We've got some track assistance, got a kill, but now we've got the enemy team just coming behind us. Now, I could turn around to get ready to face those tanks, but the problem I've got is I'm just going to be constantly get shot by the artillery as well. So it's team distraction. We can't get capped out. So I was hoping to push down here quickly, and bearing in mind there's like 7 tanks coming behind us, there couldn't have been too many in front of us. I was hoping to just try and kill him as fast as I can before the enemy tanks get behind us, and then we can turn to face them in a position where the artillery might not have as easy shots at us. But we're in a 3 versus 10. We're not winning this game. Let's just get as much out of it as we possibly can. Unfortunately, we are getting shot by the tanks behind, but I didn't want the fun police to be able to have the damage on us. I'd rather just fight the other tanks. So we pulled into a position where the artillery, the fun police can't shoot us now, and we just got to accept our fate. This game is over. We can't win it anymore. Just how many extra shots of damage can we get? Like I said, maybe I was better to turn at the other side, but it's too late now. We'll get a shot into his enemy TD. Maybe we can get one more before the Zerg of enemy team come round. We do get another shot into this enemy TD, put us onto a 1 shot, but yeah, the game is done. And besides doing about 4,700 damage and 2 kills, our team just wasn't able to hold enough for us to sort of kill that side and then turn back. But that is it for the video. So as always, if you do enjoy it, please remember to like and subscribe. I will try to get videos out as quick as I can in the new tech tree line. but I am going to Tank Fest, so it might be a little bit delayed with me getting these videos because I won't be here. But if you are going to Tank Fest, I'll be hanging around your sort of the WotConsole area, so you'll probably be able to come and meet me. If you do see me, come and say hello. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much for your amazing support, and happy tanking.
Enemy in sight. Hadouken!